Hello, Cornerstone Kids. I am so glad you are here with us at Cornerstone Kids Online. We have some great things planned. You will learn this month's theme and memory verse, sing a great worship song, and watch this week's true Bible story. At the end, you will have a chance to pray together as a family. But before we get started, let's review our Cornerstone Kids values. Number 1, love God. We are created to pursue an authentic relationship with our Creator. Number 2, love people. We exist every day to demonstrate God's love to a broken world. And number 3, love life. We experience life to the fullest as we walk in our God-given identity. If you do each of these things each day, you can change not only your life, but the lives of others. Have a great week.
When I wake up, I know that you are with me every step of the way. You're strong enough to handle any fear that I face. Even things that scare me, 'cause they seem too big. Even all the hard things that make me wanna quit. You're bigger than it all, and you're in charge of it. And I don't feel so worried when I look to you, Jesus. Your love is unforgettable. Your strength is undeniable. With you, nothing is impossible. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. When I look at how great you are, your kindness helps me believe that you are good, and with you I can do anything. Even things that scare me, 'cause they seem too big. Even all the hard things that make me wanna quit. You're bigger than it all, and you're in charge of it. And I don't feel so worried when I look to you, Jesus. Your love is unforgettable. Your strength is undeniable. With you, nothing is impossible. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. Your love is unforgettable. Your strength is undeniable. With you, nothing is impossible. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave. You are the reason, you are the reason I'm brave.
Welcome to Story Lab. This week, we're talking about courage, while we take a look at the story of a kid who landed a giant job. Oh, and we're also going to be doing this. Hey, I'm Skylar.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're talking about courage, which is being brave enough to do what you should do, even when you're afraid.
Yeah, like when you're trying something brand new.
I got something new.
A belt.
Nope, it's a slingshot.
No, that's not a slingshot.
Of course it is.
I used to make slingshots with sticks and rubber bands.
This kind of slingshot is sometimes called a shepherd's sling.
Oh, you're talking about David and Goliath.
Spoiler alert! Today's Bible story is about David and Goliath.
I've always wondered how David could knock out a giant with one stone.
Well, check this out.
Some ancient armies had slingers who could shoot stones over 60 miles an hour up to 400 meters. They were sometimes faster and more deadly than arrows.
I'm sorry, I misjudged you, slingshot bow. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
Oh, and get this. Sometimes the slingers would write insults on their stones before shooting them. Archaeologists have dug up stones that read, "Take this, victory, catch." Oh, and wait for it. Ouch.
Oh, for reals?
I did not make that up.
So how does this thing work?
This is the cradle, and these are the retention cords. The sling acts as an extension of your arm. And when you place a stone in and spin it, the sling multiplies the force of your throw.
We gotta try this out. Let's do it.
Okay, you see that target?
Yeah,
Can you see through the goggles?
I can see.
Okay, one of us is gonna hit that target. None of us are leaving here until one of us hits that target.
We're gonna be here for a while.
I'm gonna hit it.
She's not gonna hit it.
Okay, don't try this at home.
We're in a professional story lab.
True. Okay, first, you're gonna take your index finger and you're gonna put it through the loop.
Okay, I got it.
Got it? Okay. Then you're gonna grab onto this retention cord.
Okay.
Make sure you hold on tight. Then you're gonna place your stone in, and then you're gonna swing with a bunch of momentum from an underhand arc.
All right.
Once enough momentum is built, you're gonna release the retention cord.
All right.
Okay, ready? Hey, that was pretty close. Hey, let me go. Let me go.
You go first. You go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna try the figure eight.
Or not. Way harder than it looks.
I mean, David had all day, every day to practice in the fields.
Which reminds me, it's time for...
The story before the story.
Today, we're in the 9th book of the Old Testament, 1 Samuel.
God promised to bless the whole world through Abraham's family, the Israelites.
God delivered them from slavery and led them through the desert to freedom in the land of Canaan.
But the Israelites were like a yo-yo. They'd run to God and turn away from God. Run to God, turn away from God.
Instead of trusting God to lead them, they begged for a king like the nations around them. And God gave them a king, Saul.
But Saul turned his back on what God wanted too.
Which is where our story starts.
Take it away.
Hey, Erica.
Hey, everyone! At this time, one of the ways God spoke to the people was through a priest. The high priest Samuel had loved and listened to God since he was a young boy, and he was deeply saddened when he saw that King Saul was ignoring God. But God spoke to Samuel.
I am sending you to Jesse in Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king.
So Samuel was in a tricky position. Saul could have Samuel killed for anointing a new king, but Samuel chose to be brave and do exactly as God had told him. Samuel traveled to Bethlehem, where Jesse lived with his sons. The first son, Eliab, was tall and handsome and definitely looked like king material. And Samuel thought to himself,
Oh, this has to be the one the Lord wants me to anoint for him.
but God had something super important to say to Samuel. Do not consider how handsome or tall he is. I have not chosen him. People look at the outside of a person, but the Lord looks at what's in his heart. Jesse had 6 other sons stand right in front of Samuel, but even though they looked pretty kingly, God made it clear to Samuel.
Well, God hasn't chosen them either. Are these the only sons you have?
Well, my youngest son is taking care of the sheep.
Well, okay, I'll send for him.
So, of course, Jesse sent for his youngest son, David. And when David showed up, well, he looked and smelled like he'd been hanging out with, well, a bunch of sheep. But God was looking at David's heart instead of his haircut. He told Samuel,
Get up and anoint him. This is the one.
So Samuel poured oil on David's head, a special sign that God had chosen him to be the next king of Israel. Okay, now, just to be clear, David was not king yet. In fact, Saul didn't even know there was a new king waiting in the wings. He was busy leading the nation. and later trying to fight off a Philistine invasion. And the Philistines had a secret weapon, a warrior more than 9 feet tall, named Goliath.
Choose one of your men. Have him come face me to decide this war. I dare you.
Obviously, the Israelites were terrified. For 40 days in a row, they cowered behind the battle line as Goliath repeated his dare. Now, David's brothers were part of Saul's army. And after all this time, their dad wanted to make sure they were okay. So Jesse told David to leave the sheep behind and take some food to his brothers. David arrived just in time to hear Goliath's challenge.
Come and fight me. I dare you.
Right away, David turned the men around him.
He's bringing shame on Israel and trash-talking God. Someone has to fight him.
Word got back to King Saul that this kid was asking about Goliath. So Saul sent for David.
Don't let anyone lose hope because of this Philistine. I'll go out and fight him.
You're too young.
When I'm taking care of my father's sheep, sometimes a wild animal attacks. I go after it to save the sheep. I've killed a lion and a bear. God saved me from them, and he'll save me from this Philistine.
Go. May the Lord be with you.
At first, Saul wanted David to wear his own armor. But it was super heavy, and David wasn't used to it. So David shrugged it off and went and found 5 smooth stones from the stream instead.
Come and fight me!
This time, when Goliath made his challenge, David stepped forward. The warrior mocked him.
Come over here. I'll feed you to the wild animals.
You come against me with a sword, but I come against you in the name of the Lord. He'll give me victory over you.
As Goliath moved to attack, David raced forward. He took one of those stones, fit it in his sling, and spun it with all his might. The stone sliced through the air and hit Goliath squarely in the head. Ow. The giant swayed and fell to the ground, dead. When the Philistines saw their hero was dead, they panicked and ran. The Israelites chased them until their whole army scattered. And Saul was so impressed with David, he invited him to come and live at the palace. The end.
That story gives me the chills, no matter how many times I hear it. I mean, how did David have the guts to do that?
Well, David had gotten in the habit of talking to God every day and asking for God's help to protect the sheep.
So when he came up against something that seemed impossible,
He had practice. He was ready.
so what's our part in this story?
Now, I don't think any of us will meet a 9-foot-tall giant soon, but you probably are going to face something that feels big and impossible.
Maybe someone you know is sick. You're super nervous about visiting them, but you can encourage them and show them God's love, even when things feel dark.
Or maybe your giant is PE. I have a friend who hates running. She was gonna pretend to be sick on the day she had to run a mile in PE.
What happened?
Well, we talked to God about it together, and she got out there and ran.
Wow. Yep. You don't have to do the impossible alone. Jesus went up against the biggest, scariest thing of all, death, and he defeated it. God raised Jesus from the dead, and when we believe in Jesus, we get to face our fears with the very same power that raised Jesus back to life. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time.
Bye, Erica.
So here's the thing. You can do what you should, even when things seem impossible.
Like actually trying to hit the target with this thing.
We looked a little weird.
Yes, we did. Wanna try again?
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us in the Story Lab. See you next time.
Oh, hey! Brandon, you will not believe what I just found.
What?
The multiverse!
The multiverse? What is the multiverse?
Oh, come on, like in the movies.
Oh, you mean that place that has like an infinite amount of universes with infinite versions of ourselves? There's no way that place is real. That looks like a Christmas ornament.
Yeah, in this universe.
Let me see that.
What? No. Oh! Brandon, what did you do? You just broke the multiverse.
John, for the last time, there's no such thing as
The multiverse!
things just got out of hand.
Welcome to the So-and-So Show.
I'm Brandon, that's John, and we are excited about today's show.
Yes, we are, because we're talking about courage.
That's right, and today we have a very special guest, and I have to say, I am extremely excited about this. I'm a big fan. I even brought I brought the, oh man, I forgot something that I want him to sign. I'll be right back. Cover for me. I'll be right back.
I guess I'll just, was that a knock at the door? Brandon, I think he's here. Okay, please welcome someone who knows stuff. Someone who knows stuff. Someone who knows stuff? Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Would you like to come in
Oh, indubitably.
and have a seat?
Oh, yes, that would be most appreciated.
Now?
Oh, ha, yeah, yes, of course. Thank you, whoever you are.
Yeah.
Let's see, where do I begin? So many choices. What if I mess up? I didn't. Whoa. Most appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. But what did you say your name was?
It's John.
Ah, thank you, Super John. Or do you prefer John Man?
No, just John is fine.
Very good. Just John. Thank you for the hospitality. Actually, do you know why I've been summoned? I'm not going to have to do anything serious or alarming, am I?
Oh, no, I don't think so. My friend Brandon, he's a huge fan of yours, and he just thought we'd, have you on the show to talk about courage and being a superhero.
I see.
Why don't we start with TR and what you know?
That would be splendid.
Yes.
I am Captain Anxiety, and I know many, many very heroic things.
Great. Tell us why it's important to have courage when you're a superhero.
Absolutely. Courage. That's not really my strong suit. It's not my speciality, if you will. I'm more of a person who likes to run, hide, and scream like a fainting goat.
Like, oh.
That's really my modus operandi, if you will.
There's lots of ways to stand up for what's right.
You are correct, Just John. For instance, I like to make sure no one does any over-squeezing of the avocados in the grocery store. You can make sure they're ripe, but any more than that, and you've crossed the line.
Sure. Looking out for those that don't have a voice in our society is an incredible way to stand up for others and show courage. So what do you usually tell the over-squeezers?
Yeah. I don't usually say anything. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. So what I do is usually stare at them with my ubiquitous eyes of judgment. That usually elicits the desired response.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Don't take this the wrong way. You just seem to be a little, I don't know, scared to be a superhero?
Not a truer word was spoken, Just John. But fear should not deter one from being heroic. A hero should endeavor to do what's right despite his or her fear. At least, that's what I read whilst perusing the Hero's Handbook.
Oh.
You can have that. I have many. Oh. I even signed it.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Brandon's gonna be so sorry he missed you, but thank you so much for coming on the show today. You were very, very enlightening.
Oh.
Yes.
Anytime, Just John. Tell your friend, hello from me,
All right.
Captain Anxiety. I depart.
Oh, it opens inward. You pull it.
This barrier has been placed here by my arch nemesis.
Yes. Here, hold on a second. Nope. There you go.
Much appreciated, Just John.
Sure.
Doors are my kryptonite. Also, pickle jars are my kryptonite. And I'm not so fond of, kryptonite. But no matter, I depart.
Oh, watch out for that parking meter. Okay.
Is he here?
Oh, you just missed him.
What? Oh, man. I knew I was taking too long. What did he say?
He talked about, when he first came in, he was really nervous.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and scared. But he had some amazing things to say about not letting his fears keep him from being a hero.
Well, he is Captain Anxiety after all. I knew he'd be a great guest.
Oh, he also told me to tell you, hello. Yeah? And he gave me this to give to you.
The Hero's Handbook. Oh, and he signed it. Apprehensively yours, Captain Anxiety. This is the greatest day of my life.
Oh. It's Bible story time with Kellen.
Hey guys, I gotta say, Captain Anxiety was something special.
That's a good way to put it. What have you got for us today?
Well, as Captain Anxiety demonstrated, sometimes heroes aren't the ones you usually think of. That's what today's story is all about, and we're gonna tell it with Laundry Theater! Today's story comes from the book of 1 Samuel in the Old Testament. The Israelites had a king named King Saul, but instead of doing what God wanted him to do, Saul did what Saul wanted to do. So God decided there should be a new king and told one of his prophets, a priest named Samuel, to go and find one. So Samuel traveled to Bethlehem to meet with a man named Jesse. He informed him that one of his sons would be the new king of Israel. Now the first son, Eliab, definitely looked like a king. And Samuel thought this had to be the one. But God spoke to Samuel and said, "Do not consider how handsome or tall he is. People look at the outside of a person, but the Lord looks at what is in the heart. He will not be the new king." Jesse had 6 other sons stand in front of Samuel, but God told Samuel that none of these would be king either. Samuel asked Jesse if he had any other sons, and Jesse sent for his youngest, David, who was out tending the sheep. Now, David was extremely young and smelled of animals. He was far from looking like a king. But once again, God looked in David's heart instead of his appearance and knew that this would be the next king. Now, David was not king yet. He was still tending his father's sheep. And King Saul, Well, he had no clue that a new king had even been lined up. You see, Saul was busy trying to stop an invasion from the Israelite enemies, the Philistines, and Saul had run into a problem. A 9-foot tall problem named Goliath. Goliath was a soldier for the Philistines, and every day Goliath would walk down into an open field and offer a challenge of single combat to any Israelite. If anyone could defeat Goliath, the Israelites would win the war. Unfortunately, the Israelites were terrified, and no one was brave enough to face Goliath. This went on for 40 days in a row. Finally, David was sent to the front lines of the battle to bring his brothers some food. When David arrived, he heard Goliath's challenge, and he was angry that no one had offered to fight him. When King Saul heard that David was volunteering, he sent for him, but quickly told David that he was way too young. But David insisted. He told Saul that he had fought lions and bears to protect his father's sheep, and that he would fight this giant to protect Israel. God had saved him from wild beasts, and God would save him from Goliath. So Saul agreed and let him face the giant, and he gave David his own armor to wear. But it didn't fit. Instead, David went to the riverbed and chose 5 smooth, small stones to be his only protection. The next time Goliath made his challenge, David stepped right in front of him and faced the giant. Goliath made fun of David, but David stood his ground, and he said, "You come against me with a sword, but I come against you in the name of the Lord, and he will give me victory over you." As Goliath charged, David took a stone from his pocket, and he flung it with everything he had and hit the giant. The stone hit its mark, and Goliath and the Philistines were defeated. David had faced his fears and proved that it is the hero's heart that matters, not the size. The end.
Well, I guess David had practiced going up against lions and bears, so maybe Goliath wasn't as frightening to him as he was to the other Israelites?
Lions and giants and bears, oh my! Never mind.
David also had practiced asking God for help. God had gotten him through some tough spots before, so David knew nothing was impossible with God.
David and Captain Anxiety have something in common. They both might not look like superheroes, but it's what you do and what's in your heart that's the test of a true hero.
Yeah. Oh, hey, thanks, Kellen. Awesome story.
Thank you. And until next time...
Well, that was unexpected.
Do you think Captain Anxiety ever had to face a lion or a bear or something that seemed impossible?
No. But it's time for us to reveal the question.
What seems impossible to you?
Oh, okay. I remember in school there would be tests that I was 100% sure were impossible to pass, but I would study and practice.
Then you would pass?
Not all the time, but the studying gave me the courage to take the test and know that I had done my best.
Well said.
Thank you.
When something comes up that seems impossible to me, I like to remember God's faithfulness in the past. It helps me face what I think is impossible now, because I know that I'm not alone and God is with me.
Indubitably.
That's a big word for you.
No, I learned it from Captain Anxiety.
Oh, he's the best.
He is all right.
I guess that's it for today. We'll see you next week for a brand new show.
Woo! You know who my favorite superhero is?
Who's that?
Guess.
Captain Anxiety. Look into a mirror. And tell yourself, you are loyal and give constant support and allegiance. This is true. I am very loyal, particularly to my table tennis team. Unless we're playing the Paddington Paddlers, they are frighteningly above average. Tell yourself, you have determination You show firmness of purpose. Firmness. It's rather squishy. I'll move on. Tell yourself, you are selfless. You are more concerned with the needs and troubles of others than you are for yourself. This is also true. Unless the troubles have to do with big, scary people, or animals, or bugs, or oversized rocks and twigs, sometimes smaller rocks. I'm not a big fan of dirt or dust. Did you know dust is made up of human skin? Did you know that? Terrifying. See, look, there's some right there. That could be you. Ah! This is where dust is born.